hours worth of information in 10 minutes, I talk really fast. So if I become unintelligible at some point in time, just give me a wave, okay? So this is my pet project right now. This is GEMS. GEMS stands for Goal, Element, Mode, Stack. And this was born out of being a Touch for Health instructor for several years and watching my level 4 students who are pumped when they finish level 4, right? Students, when they finish level 4, they are ready to go. They're going to change the world. And then you see them a couple months later, and you go, how's it going? Who are you working on? What's happening? And they kind of, yes. And they shuffle their feet, and and you go, what's happened? What's changed in the last month that's taken down your energy and kind of subdued this for you? And inevitably, I got one of two responses from my students. One would be that they just couldn't get their business actually going. And so they were sitting there with their shingle out, but nobody's knocking on the door. The second one is that somebody comes to them with an issue like they want to lose weight, they want to quit smoking, they want to change their life in some way. And they look at their Touch for Health books, and they look at all of the beautiful balances that they have when they come out of Touch for Health, and they cannot for the life of them figure out how to make these balances apply to this person. They don't know. They don't know whether they should be doing 28 balance, as fixed as they go. They don't know whether they should be doing a color balance. When do they make people make those goofy sounds? They just really can't figure out how to actually apply what they know to the average person who wants their help. And so what this project was designed to do is to take people who had taken their Touch for Health classes and help them actually become practitioners in a really easy and concise way. That's the one thing that this does. The other thing this is designed to do is to help work as a bridging class for people who want to take higher level kinesiology classes. So I'm going to go through this really quickly. GEMS, taking 4 levels and hundreds of pages, combining them with other courses and turning them into something easy to use in real sessions. So what do we do with this? What we're doing is finding the way to determine where the priority issues are in the body and find the most effective corrections for that person, and then to feel comfortable setting up a business and actually taking clients. So when we're working with this with people, we start by talking a little bit about goals. If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. And then we talk a little bit about elements, and I'm not going to waste time today talking to you guys about how to set up goals and goal balances or elements because you guys know this stuff. But moding. So this is interesting because if you're taking higher level kinesiology classes, SIPs, LEAP, brain formatting, and brain integration, any of those kind of things, your prerequisite for going into those classes is Touch for Health 3. Do you do finger moding in Touch for Health? You do not. Do you do stacking in Touch for Health? You do not. And so as an instructor of SIPs, I find it very frustrating that I have to take an hour out of my course, which is enough, that's enough information to teach as it is, and have to teach things like finger moding and stacking, which are kind of assumed that you know when you go into those classes, but a lot of people don't, right? So this would make it easier for people to be able to go into those classes and understand how finger modes work. We just work with the basic finger modes in this, so just understanding structure, chemistry, emotional, electrical. And stacking, the dance of the demented goldfish, being able to use those proprioceptors and actually carry that information as opposed to just using circuit retaining mode, which is what we teach in our Touch for Health Level 3 class. So I'll talk about this in a second here. How does a goal, element, mode, stack, balance actually work? A GEMS balance works using the flowchart that I handed out. If anybody didn't get one, I have more in the bag over here. And maybe just flag someone at my table down and maybe they will graciously hand you one. So the way this works is to first of all determine your goal. And that can be a physical agenda, that can be something that someone says, right? We know how to set that up. Then you teach the person just to use an indicator muscle to test for what element we are looking at. Then we stack that information in. We put that information into circuit. Then we look at what mode we are addressing. Are we looking at structure, at chemistry, at emotion, or at electricity within the body? Once we find that, we can use scan charts. So I've attached the Earth element scan charts to your flowchart just so that you can get an idea of what we're handing out to our students in this course. But if you are actually taking a GEMS course, you get these scan sheets for each of the elements, as well as for central and governing vessels. So let's imagine that in working on somebody, you find that the issue that they're having right now is in their Earth element, and say we're looking at structure. So then you're going to go to your scan sheets, and the first one there shows Earth stress structure. And you're just going to use your indicator muscle to go down and check. And you can check whether we are looking at an organ, are we looking at a valve, are we looking at a muscle? And this is cross-referenced with the pages from the Touch for Health Complete Manual, so that somebody who is still a student and doesn't necessarily remember their exact muscle monitoring position for levator scapulae or something like that can double check it. So you can go through and scan and see which of these things is actually indicated for the person. Stack that in. Ask the body, do we need to go deeper? So if, say, organ comes up and we are looking at the pancreas, is that enough information at this point in time, or do we need to go deeper? And that's when your other knowledge of anatomy and physiology and those things can come into play. Do we need to be looking at beta cells, or do we need to be looking at the hormones that are being produced, or what do we need to look at and address? If deeper doesn't come up, we can ask, does the body need more? And if we get an indicator change on more, that's going to tell us we're going to go back up here and check, are we still in Earth element, or are we stacking in something else? We can use our finger modes again to see what kind of stress we are looking at. When eventually we have all the stresses stacked into place, we ask the body, do we have permission to correct? And then we just start again. Go into the element. What element are we using to correct? What mode are we using to correct? So I've got our Earth corrections in here as well. So imagine that it comes up under an Earth correction and under emotional. So if you're looking at the back of the little package that I gave you there, that could be a neurovascular holding point. It could be ESR. It could be a metaphor. We could be doing a 5-element balance. So it allows the student to take a look at all of those pieces of information that they have, all of those different balances that they have at their disposal, and see really easily what would be the priority for this particular client that they are working on. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So this isn't something that the people who are in here at this conference are going to use, because you guys all have higher modalities and you have your own way of working. But for somebody who is coming out of a Touch for Health class and doesn't have a way of easily moving back and forth through pieces of information yet, this works brilliantly well. On day 2 of the class, we do a lot of discussion about setting up your business. And a lot of that comes down to things like branding, right? How do you set up your brand? How do you get your web presence established and that sort of thing? So we look at things like this, different brands. This is from my center. This is at a celebration that we did in the summertime once. So we've got a bunch of people doing Zumba and belly dancing and all kinds of fun things. Different logos, and how do those make you feel? And what do you want your business to look like? This is my particular favorite because it's mine. And then we look at, the ones that aren't so great. So, maybe this isn't the right sign for what you are actually doing at your business. If you Google worst logos ever, this shows up on everybody's list. This Chinese restaurant in front of a rising sun. Don't let this be you. This is the bottom line here. So just, actually paying attention to these things. And when is it a good time to actually hire a graphic designer? And when is it a good time to go it alone? And then even things like social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, these things are scary for a lot of people. And just how to, again, set up your web presence, set up your brand. We also go into things like the legal requirements for your area, and what kind of licensing you need and insurance you need and those kind of things for actually setting up your business, as well as practical stuff like what should your office look like in order to be calm and professional for your clients when they come in. So after running this course the first time, this is some of the feedback that we were getting from our students. People were really happy with it. But my favorite one is the one in the middle there, where he said that GEMS is the missing page from the Touch for Health manual that I've been searching for. And it made me so